Prosper's disappearance threw her school and family into chaos. An emergency assembly was called to uncover the truth, but suspicion fell on her former best friend, Faith, who had missed school due to illness. Meanwhile, Prosper and the other girls were taken to a mysterious place where they were treated like royalty, only to be met with terror when the night unfolded. A scream shattered the silence, leaving Prosper with growing dread about her fate. Will Prosper escape this nightmare, or is it already too late? And will Faith be punished for a crime she didn't commit? The morning after Prosper's disappearance, the school was in turmoil. The principal called for an emergency assembly, with all students gathered under the scorching sun in the dusty school courtyard. Whispers filled the air as the students tried to piece together what had happened to Prosper. "We need answers," the principal's voice boomed through the loudspeaker. "If anyone knows about Prosper's whereabouts or who she was last seen with, come forward now." The students shuffled nervously. Prosper's new group of friends stood at the back, avoiding eye contact. They had sworn to keep their secret and feigned ignorance. Meanwhile, Faith, Prosper's former best friend, sat quietly. She had missed school the day before due to illness and wasn't even aware Prosper was missing until that morning. Still feeling weak, she didn't think much of it when the principal called for her and Prosper's classmates to report anything suspicious. A few students mentioned that Prosper and Faith had not attended the last lecture the previous day. All eyes turned to Faith. "She wasn't in class either," one student whispered. Faith's heart sank. She raised her hand weakly, trying to explain. "I was unwell," she said softly. "I don't know what happened to Prosper. We weren't even close anymore." But the damage had already been done. "Faith, report to the principal's office immediately," a teacher ordered. In the principal's office, Faith sat trembling, her pale face betraying her fear. The principal, a stern woman in her late 40s, leaned forward, her hands folded on the desk. "Faith, this is a serious matter," she said. "You and Prosper used to be best friends, and now she's missing. What do you know?" "I swear I don't know anything," Faith stammered. "We haven't been close for weeks. I was sick yesterday. I didn't even leave my hostel." The principal narrowed her eyes. "But we heard you had a fight with her 2 days ago." Faith shook her head vigorously. "It was nothing serious, just a misunderstanding. I didn't even see her yesterday. Please, you have to believe me." The principal was unmoved. "Faith, until we know the truth, you will remain a suspect. Your parents have been summoned." Faith's heart sank further. Her family was an average one, nothing like Prosper's well-off parents. She knew they couldn't afford a lawyer, and the weight of the accusation felt unbearable. When her parents arrived, her mother wept openly while her father tried to defend her, but the school had already contacted the local authorities. Faith was arrested and taken to the police station, accused of knowing more about Prosper's disappearance than she admitted. Far away from the chaos at school, Prosper and the other 14 girls arrived at a grand, unfamiliar compound. The tall gates creaked open to reveal a massive mansion surrounded by dense trees. The house was imposing, with high walls and intricate carvings on its wooden doors. The girls, exhausted and terrified, were ushered inside by uniformed servants. To their surprise, they were welcomed with warm smiles and kind words. A long dining table filled with steaming dishes awaited them in the main hall. "Why are they being so kind to us?" one girl whispered to Prosper as they hesitantly approached the table. "I don't know," Prosper replied, her voice shaky. "But this doesn't feel right." As they ate, the doors swung open and a woman entered. She was dressed in an elaborate robe that covered her entire body, including her face, leaving only her eyes visible through a thin veil. Her presence was commanding, and the room fell silent. The woman didn't speak, but she made gestures that her servants interpreted. "Welcome," one servant said. "This house is your home now. You will be well taken care of. Each of you will have your own room, and we hope you will find comfort here." The girls exchanged nervous glances, but they dared not question her. Later that evening, each girl was given a key with a number corresponding to her assigned room. Prosper's was room 15, located at the farthest end of the hallway, near the woman's quarters. Her room was unlike anything she had seen before. A soft bed with clean linens, a wooden dresser, and a small lamp that cast a warm glow. But the opulence did little to calm her nerves. As Prosper sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the key in her hand, she couldn't shake the unease growing in her chest. The events of the past day replayed in her mind. The party, the drinks, the man who had approached her, and waking up in the van. "I shouldn't be here," she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. "I just want to go home." That night, the house was eerily quiet. The other girls stayed in their rooms, too afraid to venture out. Prosper lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her heart heavy with regret. Just as Prosper's eyelids began to grow heavy, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence. She bolted upright, her heart pounding. The scream had come from room 1, at the other end of the hallway. "What's happening?" Prosper whispered to herself, fear gripping her chest. She approached her door and tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. Panic set in as she realized her room had been locked from the outside. She banged on the door, shouting, "Is anyone there? What's going on?" No one responded. The hallway remained silent except for faint sobbing coming from one of the other rooms. Prosper sank to the floor, her hands trembling. Her mind raced. Why had they been brought here? Who was the mysterious woman? And what had happened to the girl in room 1? As the night stretched on, Prosper stayed by the door, listening intently. She heard faint footsteps in the hallway but couldn't tell who they belonged to. Her fear deepened as she realized she might never escape this nightmare. Meanwhile, back at the school, Faith's family struggled to clear her name, and Prosper's parents grew increasingly desperate.